Northwood and Kirkby has a reputation that stretches far beyond Merseyside, often linked with crime, antisocial behaviour and years of economic decline after industry collapsed. But behind the headlines is a tight-knit working class community that continues to call this place home. Today we're taking a real look at Northwood, the struggles, the stigma and the side of the estate most people never get to see. Starting off at Quarry Green Shops, not far from the infamous tower blocks here on the estate. To give you a brief idea of the area, Northwood and Kirkby was originally developed by Liverpool City Council in the late 1950s and 60s as part of a major post-war housing expansion to create a new town, primarily composed of council housing. However, over the decades, regeneration efforts and policy changes have led to a mixed tenure area, meaning properties are now a mix of council and social housing and private ownership. Just looking down the back of the shops here, all looks a bit knackered. No dog fouling in this area, that'll be a red card. There you've got the Quarry Cafe. So coming around the front of the shops here, you have a few to choose from, including the Quarry Green Offie. Good smell of bacon coming from the cafe. You've got the barbers, a pharmacy, and of course here's the Quarry Green Offie. That phone box has seen better days. You can see the towers just off in the distance, which dominate the skyline around here. We'll go check them out in a bit. Apparently someone's grass around here. You've got the Northwood Chapel here with a free food bank. And right opposite is the Peacock Hotel, which I think it might be the last pub left in Northwood. Just coming round the front, this outside seating bit would be ideal in the summer. So that is the Peacock pub, and you can see the towers off in the distance. And of course, there's a William Hill betting shop right next door for when you're too pissed to realise how much you're betting. Now across the estate as well, you'll also notice plenty of CCTV cameras. So you can see here, this is just like one big square that links the pub and the shops together. Some more graffiti for you. And right opposite here you can get a good look at some of the new builds across the estate. And so just opposite the shops here we've got a memorial which looks pretty good. I'm not sure who this is for. Just coming out of the square here, we're going to take a spin down Quarryside Drive, which was seen to the murder of 36-year-old Ricky Berry, who was shot dead standing in his front door on June 17th, 2024. The shooting was carried out by a masked man on an electric bike who fired shots from a handgun after having travelled in a car with two other men. As a result, 3 men have been jailed for the murder, and a 4th man was later charged with murder and possession of a firearm. Here is the footage of that incident. Now, as we come to the end of Quarryside Drive, you do have the Liverpool Under-21s training centre, which we'll have a quick look at. Here's one of the few entrances to the camp. We'll have a quick look at some of the houses opposite. Looks a bit burnt. So moving on further into the estate, you've got the school at the end of the road there, which apparently has a good Ofsted grade. Again, the tower's taking up the skyline. We'll check them out in a minute. This is the St Mary's Parish Centre and Club. Not looking in the best condition. Can't say you've seen too many parishes with metal shutters and barbed wire on the roof. Looks like it could do with some care. Some more new builds here, along with a deflated pool maybe. And of course an area for a kickabout. So before we move on to the towers, let's have a look at why Northwood and Kirkby has gotten its reputation over the years and some of the crimes that the area is known for. Dating back to the 1970s to 1980s, industrial collapse and rising disorder, major employer closures in and around Kirkby led to unemployment, and youth disorder and vandalism began increasing on estates like Northwood. Into the 1990s, antisocial behaviour becomes a big issue. Drug misuse spreads across Merseyside, reports of street crime and intimidation increase in certain areas, long-term reputation starts forming. In the 2000s, drug-related crime and organised activity, part of the estate becomes associated with drug dealing and gang presence. Housing decline and lack of opportunity fuels negative media coverage, and community groups and police begin targeting operations. The 2010s increased policing and safeguarding focus, more CCTV, community policing and estate patrols, youth services and outreach projects launched to engage young people. Some improvements, but reputation remains strong in public perception. And into the 2020s, modern regeneration and crime prevention, investment into housing upgrades and public space improvements, police and council focus on tackling drug hotspots and antisocial behaviour, residents reporting mixed experiences, progress in some issues but not so much in others. And so now just looking at the types of crime that happen in the area, you've got drug-related crime and dealing hotspots, issues connected to wider Merseyside drug networks, some police operations targeting supply chains, community reporting often focused around certain blocks and shop areas, antisocial behaviour and youth disorder, scrambler bikes on estate streets, vandalism, intimidation and damage to property, noise and street gatherings causing tension, public order offences and street violence, fights and weapon possession in public areas, some incidents tied to local disputes or group tensions, police patrols increased in response to reported flare-ups, organised criminal influence. Kirkby as a whole has historically been linked to powerful gangs in Merseyside. Northwood has at times been caught in the ripple effects of that crime economy. Car-related crime, theft of vehicles and drive-off offences, scrambler bikes used for both joyriding and criminal activity, neighbourhood safety concerns, certain flats and blocks repeatedly flagged as hubs of trouble, CCTV and fencing introduced in some areas. And further on in the video we'll have a look at what's being done to improve things, but for now we'll check out the towers. Now coming up to the towers here which dominate the skyline, part of the post-war housing developments in the area. So these towers are known as Oak Towers and Mercer Heights. They were constructed quickly in the 1960s and 70s to deal with Liverpool's overspill population, part of a huge plan to create modern homes for working class families after old inner city housing was cleared. These blocks became prominent landmarks in Northwood, visible from across Kirkby, and for many families they provided affordable housing and strong neighbourhood bonds. However, they weren't made for generational living, so maintaining them has become a challenge. And as time has gone by, some blocks experienced reports of drug activity, vandalism and intimidation in stairwells and lifts. However, headlines about the place often focus on crime rather than community, and reputation spreads faster than improvements. Residents constantly say there is a lot more to the estate here than what outsiders see. Strong friendship networks, people who help each other, and a community that cares about its home. So as you've just seen as we've walked in, there is an increase in CCTV around here. So here's a close-up of some of the blocks here. This bottom balcony doesn't look in the best condition. As you can see there's clear signs about the place about how there's CCTV 24 hours. And obviously I can't get into the towers here, but here's a look through the front door into the stairwell. Apparently no ball games allowed, even though it's a good area for a kickabout. Here's a good look up at some of the balconies from the towers. And so just behind those set of towers, there is a park which leads to another block of towers. But before we check them out, let's have a look what's nearby these. You've got some normal housing along with the Quarry Green Tenants Association building here. And just across the road here, opposite some more housing, you've just got an empty bit of barren land, plenty of moss growing on it. Looks like it might have been an old playground with the coloured fencing. And there you see the towers which we've just come out of. Got a bunch of lions guarding this house. They don't look too bad with a clear sky and some autumn trees. Here we have the old rough park, although the park doesn't look rough. It does separate the two separate sets of tower blocks. So on the left is one set, and to the right here, you can see the set we already have covered. So as we check out the other set of blocks, this is some of the new housing where one of the old towers used to stand. Now as we take a walk down to the flat blocks, further up this road in the opposite direction, just by the local shops, 21-year-old James Halewood was fatally stabbed to death in July of 2019 due to gang and drug-related activities by a former friend. The perpetrator was then sentenced to a minimum of 20 years behind bars. A sunny day like today helps brighten up the look of the blocks. Now this is Beachrise Tower, where in October of 2023 a fire occurred from what's believed to be a youth launching a firework at a 12-storey balcony, which caught fire to some rubbish bags. The whole apartment block had to be evacuated, but nobody was injured in the blaze and it was quickly extinguished by fire crews. You can already see here some of the blocks being boarded up. So both Beachrise and Willow Rise blocks are both in a significant state of disrepair, with reports of rubbish piling up, water leaks and broken lifts contributing to the unsafe conditions. The flats are now in the process of becoming fully empty and legally uninhabitable due to serious unresolved fire safety concerns. A prohibition notice came into force in July 2025, meaning it is illegal for residents to live there. Looks like some scaffolding set up at the back here. Right in between the tower blocks, you do have a few random houses lined up. Moving on to the Willow Rise blocks, you can see this would have been where the car park for the residents is. A fair bit of fencing and iron grids up on the windows. Another camera hid on the corner here. And of course there's a mattress. You'll always find a mattress on these kind of estates. You can see a lot of the moss and mould growing up on the side of these blocks. Broken glass on the floor here, gotta watch where you step. More work looks to be going on with this block compared to the other. "24-hour security active, but they all must be having a smoke. You can smell it round here." Now these two tower blocks are currently unsafe for occupation without significant work being done. And Rockwell Limited, the head lessor, has now taken over management obligations to try and find a solution, but there is no guarantee for the residents to return. Here's a look at the front of the Willow Rise for you. Coming up to the entrance here, there's more cameras hid in the corners and everything is boarded up. And so you might have noticed the front door open there. That was security coming out to check what I was doing, but they didn't want to be on camera. Now leaving the tower blocks, here is some of the housing directly opposite the road from the Willow Rise block. Again, Big Brother always watching. And you don't see this too much, but this house here has some broken shards of glass sticking up out of the wall. A good way to keep people out, but you won't want to kick a ball onto those. Round the back here just looks like some worn down garages and overgrown parking spaces. So now, as we leave the area to head into Kirkby town centre, let's have a look at what is being done to help improve things here in Northwood. So what is being done? Housing upgrades and estate maintenance, refurbishment of older properties, repairs to walkways, fences and outdoor areas, improved energy efficiency and insulation in some homes, better lighting and CCTV, installing more cameras in hotspots, street lighting upgrades for safer evenings, improved monitoring in communal areas, youth engagement and support, community centres and youth activities, local sports programmes, projects aimed at reducing boredom and antisocial behaviour, targeted policing, neighbourhood officers based locally, drug enforcement operations, visible patrols on bikes and foot, police partnerships with schools and residents, community-led initiatives, resident groups voicing local concerns, clean-up days and estate pride efforts, mental health and addiction support services, town-wide regeneration, investment in Kirkby town centre, new shops, services and transport improvements, easier access to jobs and training. And so here we are in Kirkby town centre, right at the back of B&M. Not the most tropical part of the world, but let's go have a look around the centre to finish up the video. Just like the estate, there's plenty of cameras about the place. This is the multi-storey car park here, which looks like it's been done up a bit, not looking as worn down as it used to. Just coming around the corner here, we have the Kirkby Central House. And coming down the stairs right next to it, we have the Kirkby Centre. So you do have 4 of these winged throne chairs opposite the Kirkby Centre, which are a public art installation known as the selfie chair thrones. They are specifically designed for people to sit on and take a selfie photo, aimed at forming a unique part of the local street art in Kirkby. It does look a bit mad next to B&M. It's also got eagle feet for the legs. And so there is a good look at the Kirkby Centre. Again, you can see more of the winged thrones. You can see the black cabs starting to line up outside B&M to take everyone home when they've done the shopping. You've got Kirkby's Heron Foods, not seen one of those for a while. A quick look at the bus station for you. Here you've got the Bargain Boo's window smashed in. It must be a popular place. So we are right in the centre here, and this elephant on a boat might look a bit random, but it's named Edward's Elephant, and it's a steel sculpture of an elephant in a Viking boat, inspired by poet Edward Lear's poem, The Enthusiastic Elephant, and Kirkby's Viking history. Here you can see a plaque on the boat for Edward Lear. Now this might look even more random with a shield in a tree, but it's known as the wishing tree. It's also widely known locally as the dead tree sculpture or the tree of life. The statue was created by artist Jeff Wood and is a cast of one of the oldest dead trees in the Knowsley area, a 4-year-old tree from Huyton. The shield part at the top was added later to provide some shelter for benches at its base. You can see you do get some homeless sat around the centre. A quick look between the shops here for you. Not too many places open right now. May as well grab yourself a carpet from Paul's Carpets. Again, there's the Kirkby Centre, and to wrap the video up, we'll have a quick walk back near the estate. Taking a quick trip through Northwood Forest Hills now, just to end the video. Looks like something's been burnt out along here. This is right at the back of the houses, a little bit of fly tipping. And so this just looks like a nature walk for people to go around locally. But as for Northwood and Kirkby as a whole, the place has its struggles, but change is happening. Investment in housing, better policing, and new opportunities for young people are all helping steer the estate in a better direction. It won't transform overnight, but progress is real, and residents are determined to build a safer, stronger future.